Hello, hello, hello. So let's go through very quickly how you can allow your clients to talk themselves into an application. It is 11:20 a.m. I just came out of my 10:30 a.m. appointment, and the first thing that I want to share with you is not all mortgage protection appointments need to happen in the evening times. There are clients that are still young, in their 50s, that are willing to take an appointment because maybe they have a day off, maybe they had an early retirement, maybe they're taking a vacation and this was their week, who knows. But I seem to find that there's a lot of clients that we can meet with first thing in the morning, 9, 10, 11 a.m., and then some midday appointments, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So, if you're working maybe like an outside sales position, or you're doing something that's not a typical 9 to 5, and you're looking for ways to supplement your income, this is a fantastic way to go ahead and take an appointment midday for an hour and 15 minutes and go make yourself some money. And so here's the backstory. I spoke to a gentleman on Friday. I pulled over to the side of the road. The email had just come in with the lead, and I like to take, when the emails come in with the leads, I'll literally pull over and I will call that lead right then and there. And so that's what I did with this gentleman. He was a retired firefighter, and come to find out that the property that he bought was about 35 minutes away from where I live, but he wasn't moving in there for a few years, and so he actually was my neighbor. He actually lives like literally 5 minutes from my house. So I met with him and his wife, but he had training tip number one. He had a ton of questions over the telephone, and he was a little high strung, not from a negative standpoint. He just literally just had a lot of questions, and I took my time without actually quoting him or really going into much detail about the difference between what life insurance is and mortgage protection. I actually had the opportunity to kind of give him a little bit more peace of mind, and I painted a picture for him based on the $50,000 life insurance policy he has, the pension and Social Security that he has, and how that will be left over to his wife in the event anything happened to him, but why he would want to take a look at mortgage protection. And so after being able to kind of answer some of his questions over the phone and really take my time with him, he went ahead and decided to allow me to schedule the appointment with him, because at first, just going through the regular script, he wasn't having it. He wasn't ready to schedule the appointment. But my point is, take some time with your clients over the telephone. It doesn't mean that you necessarily have to give them a quote. It doesn't mean that you necessarily have to give them a presentation over the phone. Just go ahead and answer their questions to the best of your ability. Every time he did ask me, can you give me a ballpark figure? What I told him was, I was driving in my truck and I didn't have the ability to take out my laptop and start pulling out my calculators on my laptop, and he understood that. And so I explained to him, for safety purposes, it's probably not best for me to start, using a cell phone or a calculator or something like that while I'm driving. And so he was totally okay with that. So that's one that you can use in your back pocket. Now, when I took the appointment and I sat down with him today, he was very similar like he was over the telephone, a little bit more high-strung. His wife was very conservative, and literally they just had 1,000 questions about how it works, why it would make sense, when it would come into play, why is this different than life insurance, how do you get me in between my budget? And one of the things that I always tell people is, these are customized plans. Well, that doesn't change in the home. Even in the home, I told him that this is going to be a customized plan. He'll need to give me 3 or 4 minutes to put it together, and after I've gathered up all the information and I've listened to everything he's told me and I was taking notes, that I would then customize that plan. So, you know what? Let me show my sunroof here. Just a little. There we go. And so that was, training tip again, is to really sit and listen. And I'll tell you right now, during this appointment, these guys spoke 97% of the time. I didn't really have much to say. I answered their questions. Here's the good news too, especially when you're doing some leads in your own backyard, and he lives around the corner from me. We both know the same people. And so we had friends in common and things of that nature, restaurants that we visit in the area. And so that really went a long way. And he actually mentioned that at the very end. It was great that somebody local, somebody that he feels comfortable with, things of that nature. And so that plays a huge role when running leads in your backyard. And so during the process, I would answer questions and him and his wife would just talk. And she would express to me her concerns, and then he would chime in with his concerns, and then they would chime in together. And at the very end, when it came time to picking an option, they went with option number 3, which is the Mortgage Protection Payment Program. I took their mortgage payment and I times it by 36 months. I explained why that one was probably going to be the best value based on what they're looking to accomplish. They're living in a home that was already paid off. And so when they sell that home, they're going to have all the equity that they're going to be able to have from that home that she can take to live off of when they go and they live in this new home that they applied for. Now, here's one of the things that he told me. He said, Brett, I literally got this a month ago. And I've been sitting here waiting to fill it out. And I've received probably 10 other ones. I'll probably have one today in the mail because they haven't stopped coming. And it's probably because I haven't made a decision. And so he goes, and I wasn't going to fill it out. He goes, but the day I filled it out, my wife and I sat and we talked. He goes, and then you called me 3 days later. I mean, that's how quick the turnaround time was. So it was still fresh. He even said it was still fresh in our minds. And he said, at this point, we like option number 3. And then I explained to them the process of taking an application and that I thought it would probably be in their best interest to apply and see what happens. And I like to personally make sure that it gets issued and activated right away. But I could sense, and you'll sense with your intuition, that they were not ready to go and move forward to have it taken out of their bank account right away. They still wanted to kind of sit and think about it. And so I explained to them how they would have this window of time, if they push it out a certain period, that it would get approved but not issued and activated so they wouldn't pull the first premium. They liked that option. But they still weren't ready to make a decision in terms of doing the application right then and there. So here's what happened. I just let them talk. And they just kept talking and talking, and he kept talking and talking and talking. And after about 5 minutes, he talked himself into wanting to do. So he went from literally going, well, we're just going to think about it. Give us a couple days. And I didn't say anything. And then he went from that to, you know what? How long will it take to do an application? I said 7 to 10 minutes electronically. And, we'll get your driver's license, your medications. I'll dump everything in. You'll get emailed the application through Foresters. I'll show you how to sign it. It'll get bounced back to me. I'll send it over to the company. And then I'll keep you in the loop here in the next 48 hours. He goes, let's do an application. I said, great. And so literally he talked himself into doing the application, and that's how we set it up. So there's another tip for you, that if you just ask questions, zip it, people will literally tell you everything you need to know, and they will talk themselves into doing it. Okay, because they know it's a good thing. And he was very happy. He gave me a referral, and he was very happy about the fact that he now felt comfortable that he has a clear understanding as to what mortgage protection is. And I covered things like if something happened and he incurred medical expenses that his pension and Social Security wouldn't cover, then now he maybe has to use a credit card to pay medical expenses that he didn't have before. And he was like, see, that opened my eyes. I never thought of it like that. So, do your best in the home to present situations and scenarios for people to paint a picture as to why they would need it. So those are my training tips for the day. Came out to be about $55 a month in mortgage protection payment. But again, it's more important that I was able to help a family and calm their concerns. So guys, have a great week. Talk to you soon.